In this IELTS Speaking Task 2 cue card lesson, we're going to look at two similar but slightly different topics, and that is, of course, hobbies and sport. So the first cue card we will look at is for hobbies, and here it is. Describe a hobby that you particularly enjoy. You should say what the hobby is, when you started doing it, where you do this, and explain why it is important to you. So we're looking at the topic of hobbies, and there's a really good chance that this could also come up in task 1, part 1 of the IELTS speaking test. So we're going to describe a hobby we enjoy. We need to say what it is, when we started doing it, where we do it, and why it is important to us. And let's take a look at the model answer. Well, one of my favourite activities that I enjoy in my free time is running. Actually, at first I hated it, but after some time and sticking at it, I really love it now. I suppose it's like coffee. You don't like everything the first time you try it. I took up running 2 years ago after a friend encouraged me to give it a go. At first, I thought it seemed so boring and strenuous. I suppose I was actually right about that. It takes some time to get used to it, but once you're fit enough, it's pretty fun. This year I finished my first full marathon. I had such an adrenaline rush when I finished. I think I was shaking for an hour. Apart from keeping fit, it's great to take part in outdoor activities and be around nature. It keeps me calm, and when I run, I can really shut down and not stress out over simple things that are annoying me at that time. Also, I'm really into collecting medals from different races. So far, I've got 13 medals, and I'm hoping to add a lot more to that in the upcoming months. I get a lot of satisfaction from running, so yes, I'd say it's one of my favourite pastimes. Okay, a great answer, discussing a hobby that turns out actually to be something of a sport. Let's take a look at the focus language in this model answer. So the first piece of really interesting language that we use for hobbies is free time. So free time is another way to talk about a time in the day when you can enjoy a hobby. It's when you aren't working, you're not studying. You can enjoy something, an activity such as a hobby. So in my free time, I like running. And this phrase here, sticking at it. So it's kind of like an idiomatic expression because we're not actually sticking to anything, but it means to not give up. For example, I found running difficult, but after sticking at it, I really love it now. A really great native expression. Next, we have give it a go. So it's a collocation, give it a go. It's a phrase native speakers use to say, try something, give it a go. Here we have just a piece of vocabulary, strenuous. So if something is hard work, it makes you tired, you can describe it as being strenuous. And I suppose running would be a good activity to describe as strenuous because it can be quite tiring. Next up, we have this phrase, get used to it. So if you find an activity or something you're doing difficult at first, it could be you can't understand an accent, but you find it easier later, you can say get used to it. In this example, we're saying we find something easier. So running was difficult at first, but after some time, I got used to it and then I enjoyed it. So it means adapting to something that you find difficult and then finding it easier. Here we have sort of the phrase adrenaline rush. So adrenaline is a naturally recurring hormone in our bodies. And when we do something really exciting, such as snowboarding or skiing, we can often say we get an adrenaline rush. Here we have the collocation in keeping fit. So we can say, I like keeping fit. I didn't used to keep fit. That would be one way of using it in a different tense. And here, take part. So we can say we take part in activities. And here we have outdoor activities. For some of you that enjoy doing sort of activities out in nature, we can say this expression, be around nature. For example, a hobby of mine is fishing because I can be around nature, which is calming. A collocation here, a native used expression. And of course, collecting. This is topic-specific vocabulary, but used in many different ways. And part of hobbies can be collecting medals or collecting games or collecting newspapers or books. Here we have satisfaction. So this is a feeling that we have, an abstract noun. So I get satisfaction from my hobby. And finally, we have pastimes. So pastimes is simply a synonym for hobby. My favourite pastimes are sports. My favourite hobbies are sports. Okay, and that's all for this language, all about the task 2 cue card of hobbies. Let's take a look at sports now. So on to the topic of sports and exercise. Here is our cue card. Describe something you do to keep fit. You should say what it is, when you do it, how long you have done it for, and explain if you enjoy doing it. So it doesn't actually use the word sports in the cue card, but this is around a very similar topic of exercise. It may be that the thing you describe is actually a sport. Or maybe some things such as weightlifting or just working out aren't actually considered sports, mostly anyway. So we're going to talk about some kind of exercise, what it is, when we do it, how long we've been doing it for, and if we enjoy it. So let's take a look at the model answer. I love visiting my local sports centre in town. It's where I go at least 3 or 4 times a week to play football, work out, or just hang around really. Attached to the main building is also a gym, so the place has a lot of sports facilities there. I even got into squash recently, though I've got to be honest and say I've not really taken to it. In my opinion, it's important to stay in shape and try and eat healthy foods. I mean to say, I'm not that old, but now I'm not a young kid anymore. It's important to look after myself. I joined the sports club a few months back. I used to have a membership at a different gym, but it was more expensive. And to be honest, the facilities were a little dated. One of the best benefits of my new gym is that once a week they throw in a free personal trainer. Usually they cost a fortune. So I've got to say I'm really satisfied with the new sports centre. Other than exercising and playing different sports, they're also a great group of people who work and go to train there. So it's a really fun place to be around. So a really well-developed model answer around that cue card of keeping fit, a type of exercise you enjoy, or which could also be a sport. Now, there's some really good topic-specific vocabulary in this lesson. So let's take a look at that now. And we'll begin with this topic-specific vocabulary, a sports centre. A sports centre is usually a place where people pay an amount of money to go to 1, 2 or 3 times a week. And in a sports centre there may be a few different areas that you can go to play sports, whether it's football, basketball, possibly a swimming pool, and there may also be some classes that you can join in. So a sports centre, a great part of most towns and villages. Okay, so moving on, we have the expression to work out. Working out generally means to do exercise to either build muscle or to lose weight and get fit. Work out. Here we have the expression hang around. So if you're going to hang around, it means that you are staying somewhere with little to do. In this example, hang around at a sports centre. So we're not really working out or exercising. We're going to socialise and speak to people. Next up is sports facilities. So sport facilities means the different kind of resources and equipment that somewhere has to provide you with the opportunity to play sports. For example, a gym may have a lot of sports facilities such as running machines and weights. A sports centre might have great sports facilities like a swimming pool and basketballs and these kinds of things. Got into, so again, if you begin enjoying a sport or an activity, you can say, I really got into it. I started to enjoy it. And here we've got this expression, I've not taken to it. I have not taken to it. It means that we did not find it very easy at all. In this example, the person has just started playing squash. They enjoyed it. They got into squash, but they've not really taken to it. They don't think they are very good at it yet. And next up, it's important to stay in shape. This is a common expression that we use when we say trying to remain pleasing in terms of the looks of our body. So often it might be losing weight or building more muscles. Many people join a gym to stay in shape. And in a similar way, this next phrase, look after myself, can also be used as look after yourself. It means to make sure you are staying fit and healthy, whether through the way you eat or exercise. So here we've got, it's important to look after myself, which I partly do agree with. Much like a sports centre, we have a sports club. And really, you can use these two phrases changing between, they're very similar in meaning, a sports centre and a sports club. Here we have facilities again, which is a piece of vocabulary, a synonym for equipment. And if you say something is dated or a little dated, it means that the facilities are not new, they are well used. Here we have the expression to throw in. We can use it when we sign up for something, whether it's a membership. So I signed up to the local sports centre and they threw in a free personal trainer. And a personal trainer is someone that works just with you to help you at the gym and get fit. Finally, we've got this really native expression to say something costs a fortune, or usually it does cost a fortune. If you say something costs a fortune, it means it's very expensive. And in this example, we're saying personal trainers cost a fortune. They are very expensive. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed looking at some of this vocabulary for hobbies and sports. And of course, I'll see you in the next lesson.